Hey guys, and we are back. We are having a roundtable discussion with myself, Tim, and Isaiah Sloan. Or let me better reintroduce you, the Super Christian Tim. Not just Tim, he's Super Christian Tim. Because, well, he's a Super Christian, and you're not. So, with that being said, who wants to start this off?
Hold on, I'm gonna leave real quick, so I'm gonna come back, but I need to
Alright,
turn
cool.
off my vibration so you can't be annoyed by that.
Gotcha. Alright.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tim, you had some stuff to say, but first, let's talk about the debate we just had. Tim, go ahead.
Well, no, it was really strong. It was good stuff. It was all really strong. Evidence. It was a very good discussion, and it mainly the point was is like yeah, no one can prove the Big Bang. That's number one spot, and then at number two, yeah, you managed to call out a decent amount of what we deem as unrighteousness. People do want to sin, and they want to find every excuse they can to sin. Even fellow Christians will look through the scriptures to try to see, I'm saved by grace, so I don't really have to follow God's law. But as a real Christian, you love Jesus so much for saving you, you want to follow his law. You want to try to walk in his footsteps. So we even have that in Christianity. And the main point I was going to make is the idea of the genetics, what we went into. Because I did my video on the 0.1 difference in all of our DNA and the idea of a literal Adam and Eve, like the data suggests. And then there's that other interpretation of the data where, based on our current models, key word in there, current models of mutation in humans, that people are trying to draw 160,000 year or 300,000 year gap in between what they believe now it may be Eve, or the ape Eve as they want to call it. And right there you have to basically, you can say it's a straw man, but it's still very liable. You can say, look, you don't know what the mutation rates for the old DNA was. We weren't collecting data on DNA 4,000, 5,000 years ago. We didn't have the technology to do that. So when someone says that based on today's mutation rates, that's the key point. Today's mutation rates. We can't teleport ourselves back in time to know just how much mutation was really happening, or like how old it is. So we can only begin to understand that from our genealogical timeline of creation, 4,000, 5,000 years, or what people want to say 300,000 or a couple 100,000. It doesn't even account for really a couple million. That takes even more calculations. So overall, it just becomes yet another rock in the road. It's either you're going to pretty much stick to what the data kind of says and just understand that it's the Bible's genealogical timeline, or you're going to go to an evolutionary timeline, try to accuse it of having a genetic bottleneck, and so on. So really, it's subject for debate, but the main point is we don't know what the actual mutation rates back 4,000 years ago were. We can't. There's no way. Same thing with radiometric dating. We don't know how the measuring of decay has been. We don't know how long it's gone on for. We can only make assumptions, and they have thrown out even lower numbers in their radiometric dating and all kinds of other dating, all because they wanted to fit more of their longer lifespan of the Earth rather than a younger. Because we've gotten numbers as low as 10,000 years. We've gotten plenty of numbers through their experimentations that were lower than what they want to be today. So, that's really where it all comes into. It's really an interpretation of evidence. It always is.
Isaiah?
Hello, I believe he's attacking my position.
I'm not really attacking. I'm not attacking. We can all have a healthy discussion. I guess I could say it's attacking, but it's true. You don't really know. You can go off today's data, but you don't know what 4,000 years ago's data would have held. We will never know.
Well, I provided some numbers that could help, provide
based off today's rates. We never took any data 4,000 years ago. We didn't have the tech to do it, so we don't know. That's what leaves it to an assumption. And on top of all that, they're dating of all the elements that they try to use for radioactive decay and things like that. They will throw out numbers as low as 10,000 just to fit numbers as high as 500,000 to a million. It's all a subject of really perception. You're going to come out with the biblical perception or an evolutionary perception.
There's some dating methods that can't account for anything lower than 2 million. There's potassium argon. When you're at numbers like 2 million, when you're at something that's like super young, and you're trying to use potassium argon on that, you're going to get messed up dates. For example, in the 1 millions and the 1 million.8 or 1.8 million, you're going to get messed up dates, or this has been tested. I believe some guy named Steve Austin tried to
But they
date Xenochrist at Mount St. Helens eruptions, and he knew he was going to get messed up dates, but he exploited that.
Yeah, but still, we really don't know if these what should I say, these dating methods, if they've remained consistent. We don't truly know that. We can only go off an assumption. So when I'm told, that we're using these dating methods, they weren't always the same, and we can't actually prove if they were or not.
Well, I'd say we could. I mean, I mentioned this in the debate. Friction occurs at the molecular level. So if you have like radioactive decay, when an isotope decays, it produces heat. Faster decay, faster heat. It's why it's concluded that the decay rate is relatively constant, because you're not. I mean, no one's going to assume the decay rate was much faster than it was today, all because you don't want the Earth to melt due to the heat that would be produced by such rapid rates.
That wouldn't explain why we've had numbers as low as 10,000 to like 15,000, and then we get up to 500,000, a huge gap and huge leap.
Because we don't know, therefore we do know.
And no, that wasn't the point I was trying to make. But I mean, gaps between things like what? What are we dating? I mean, carbon dating can be used to date things like a few hundred years old, or argon can be used to date. It was used to date, for example, pumice from the Mount Vesuvius eruption, and got a completely accurate date, which was only off by, I believe, 7 years, which was it got a date of 1,925 years in a study 1,918 years after the Mount Vesuvius eruption, which is pretty spot on.
Mount Vesuvius. Trying to think here. Ed, when you go ahead and talk, I'm trying to upload a video right now.
I wasn't listening, but all I heard was like something about a mountain or something like that, and you guys are talking about dating and the edge of the earth and stuff like that. That's
We're
not really.
We're debating on how
Can't totally-
accurate all these different dating methods
Oh,
are,
how do
because
these
I'm
dating methods-
I'm gonna hold to the fact that they're really not. I mean, yeah, you could use that one scenario, but then you got all the other scenarios where they have admitted they've published that they've just thrown out these numbers. If it's a number that's too low for them, they'll throw it
Oh
out.
yeah, when it's under 10,000 years or something like that, they know the age or something like that. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I'm everywhere. But long story short, I mean nobody really knows the date of anything unless it comes with a receipt or a paper, unless somebody who made it or somebody who saw it or somebody who was there actually can tell you, hey, this thing is this age, and we have a book that tells us that, the Bible.
Well, I mean, mistakes aren't thrown out. I mean, they have to be acknowledged in order to
But they're
know the
thrown out.
problem. Well,
That's
no,
the
not
problem, though. They have thrown out. They've thrown out mistakes
I mean,
plenty
for
of times.
example,
10,000.
a mammoth was dated, which was, I mean, contrary to Kent Owen's claim that they weren't separate mammoths, the date was most likely off because the mammoth was covered in glycerin, which would have ruined the date. So those mistakes have to be acknowledged. And seals carbon dated. Seals who only died fairly recently were dated at absurd ages. I mean, this is to test the reservoir effect, to know the limits of carbon dating. When you have a marine organism, you know it's going through the reservoir.
But you have carbon showing up in diamonds, and the diamonds are being proven to be like practically just a couple thousand years old.
Well, the diamonds were found in a specific place, which was rich in uranium. I believe it was a coal field. Coal is very radioactive. It contains a lot of uranium and thorium. And uranium goes through a process called uranium and thorium. They go through a process called scatter decay, which produces a C14 out of C12. And remember, diamonds are carbon. So coal is very radioactive. So if you're finding diamonds at a
But
coal plant, you're going to find C14. That's a guarantee.
so if diamonds are carbon, isn't it fair to say that carbon-14 can tell you when the diamonds were formed?
No, diamonds aren't all carbon-14. I forgot which carbon they are exactly.
But
Oh yeah,
carbon-14 is
yeah.
being
No,
found like all diamonds.
there's C14
No,
in
it's not.
diamonds, but if the world is millions of years old, there should be none in there. At least not the
I
amount that
know.
we're finding in.
Actually, yeah, that's another thing too. There should be none if we're millions of years old. That's correct.
But because
Carbon
there
is
is
carbon is
some,
created through
mhm,
carbon is created through as I mentioned, scatter decay when you have uranium and thorium. It's where the diamonds were found. If you were to go find a diamond in your backyard, if you're not living under a coal mine, you can guarantee you're not going to find carbon. But in the place that diamonds were found, I mean, you can read the paper in which they found the carbon-14 in the diamonds. It was in coal mine, I believe. And coal is very radioactive, so you have uranium and thorium, and that through the process of scatter decay is going to produce C14, which is why it was found. I mean, you can go anywhere else on Earth besides a coal mine, and you won't find C14 in diamonds.
if you don't find C14 in diamonds, then that means that the Earth is not millions of years old.
If you find C14 in diamonds, it's
If
not
you,
millions of years old. Is that what you said?
I'm sorry.
Well,
If there
no, it's
is,
not.
if your position is true, there should be no C14 in there.
I just explained why there is. It's expected if it's found in a place where there is coal, because coal is radioactive.
Mhm.
It contains uranium and thorium.
Mhm.
If the uranium and thorium scatter decay, you're going to get some carbon-14.
Mhm.
So mistakes have to be, the limits of carbon dating have to be acknowledged. So if you're in somewhere where there's a lot of uranium and thorium, you're going to get bad dates. And if you're going to carbon date up, for example, a dinosaur bone from a museum, you're going to get bad dates because most museums put preservatives on their dinosaur bones. So if you're going to carbon date a dinosaur bone from a museum, you're going to get bad dates because of the preservatives. But if there is no preservative, you're going to get it in the upper end of the spectrum because they're so old.
From looking at a dinosaur bone, or even trying to test a dinosaur bone, doesn't have a date on it. It doesn't say I'm this old. You have to, you have to even like no dating method is 100% accurate to the T. It's all assumption.
And we
All of it is assumption.
and we
Unless,
got
wait,
I was gonna say, and we got soft dinosaur tissue popping up all over
yes,
the
we
place.
definitely do.
Well, have you read Schweitzer's? She has a paper in which she explores the possibility of iron
It's
preservation.
it's
In
already
her,
been
in her.
debunked. It's already been
Oh,
debunked.
so you
Mark,
read her paper.
yeah, no,
So what's
Mark
the rate?
Armitage. Mark Armitage already pointed out that she injected an anticoagulant into her experimental blood, and that's what preserved it.
Uh,
That's
no,
another
she
thing.
didn't.
How come when
No,
it comes
she
to
didn't.
evolution,
No,
Yeah,
no,
she
no, no.
did. I can send
No.
you the video right now. He proves
how
it
come
step by
Mark
evolution
step.
Armitage.
always have
Hold
to?
on, hold on. Let me explain. Mark Armitage is a liar. Not only did he lie about his credentials, he got a degree from ICR. If you didn't know that,
Whoa,
the
whoa,
place
whoa,
Well,
in
whoa.
which
how
Institute
is
for
he
Spatial
lying?
Research? What?
I've seen.
have you read Schweitzer's paper on iron preservation?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and so you also read Schweitzer's paper, her original find. You read that, right?
I think that's still the one that has to do with the iron
So you know
chelation,
why
right?
the so you, yeah, so you know why the tissue was soft. You know why?
According to her, iron in the bloodstream preserving the tissue.
It was soft because she put it in acid. When she found it, it
That's
wasn't originally soft. It wasn't soft until she put it in acid.
I think those are two separate papers, because the one we're talking about is when she said that iron preserves the blood. And she put an anticoagulant in there, and you can see it. There's traces of it in the microscopic finds that Mark Armitage shows. He already took on her paper, and he's wrote a paper against her.
No, Mark Armitage is not telling the truth. But
I don't know. Have you seen the evidence? I mean, I need that to be proven to me that he's lying whenever I've watched his video and he went right into it like he did.
Schweitzer found iron oxide on the heme. She explored the possibility of iron preserving it. She found out that iron preserves as a preservative. She increased the preservation. She nearly halted it. It was increased by. She halted it by at least 200 times. She slowed down by 200 times the normal rate. So the anticoagulant, that's nonsense. So not only did Armitage, who, he found his Triceratops in the exact same place Schweitzer did. You know that, right?
Yeah, and he has soft tissue that he's showing everybody.
Yeah, I know. So he found it in the same place Schweitzer did, so it's not really much of a surprise. Not only did he lie about that, he lied about his degree, which is why they canned him. He's going around telling people he was canned because he found the soft tissue. He's pathetic. He's a liar. He was canned because he lied about his credentials.
I don't know this guy, but
Mark Armitage.
yeah, I never heard of the guy. I don't know who he is. But with that being said, does somebody have to be a PhD scientist to even understand evolution, or millions of years?
No, I'm saying no. My point is Armitage is being dishonest.
About his credentials, but that doesn't mean he was lying about the evidence.
Yeah.
He's definitely lying about the evidence.
Because he lied about his credentials?
Oh no, because if you read Schweitzer's paper, you can see she slowed down decay by at least a factor of 200, and not because of anticoagulant. You can see I believe it was heme she was testing. Heme, I believe it's called.
I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about that. I have not heard of this guy. I have not heard about this lady's paper. I have no idea who these people are at all. But what I can...
He's a microscope scientist. He has a microscope lab, and he's been doing a lot of findings on soft dinosaur tissue.
Mm-hmm.
He's only really discovered one, I believe. One.
No, he has several. He has several.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, the point is, an anomaly isn't going to debunk the dating methods.
It actually, it kind of does. Soft dinosaur. I mean, we've been told for years that millions of years that separate us from the dinosaurs, and then we have other civilizations that have actual Inca stones, like the Incans, and they show that we were riding dinosaurs.
The Ica stones are fake, right? They were baked in dung. Hold on, they were baked in dung to give the appearance of age, and any legitimate paleontologist would tell you they're fake, because due to the way the dinosaurs were walking.
Hold on 1 minute. You said any legitimate paleontologist would tell you they're fake. So if they tell you they're not fake, they're not legitimate paleontologists?
No, not the point what I was trying to make. But can I continue?
Go ahead.
Now, the dinosaurs, you can see they have their tails on the ground. A theropod dinosaur would not have had his tail on the ground. Now, Sir Richard Owens, an old paleontologist who tried to make a theropod dinosaur, I believe it was the T-Rex, he tried to make it appear as if it was walking like a kangaroo as portrayed by the exosome. But what he had to do was break the tail to allow it to do that. And sauropods, since they're also Sorsuchians, they wouldn't have had their tails on the ground either. Their tails would have had to be up so they could use it as a balance mechanism. They're fake. The portrayals are very inaccurate. Aaron Ra, he has a whole 40-minute video discussing things like this called of Flintstone archaeology. I would recommend you watch that. It's long, but it's informative.
So the reason why you believe in millions of years is because of evolution, or you believe in millions of years because... Why exactly do you believe in millions of years?
Because of evidence.
Hmm. So if millions of years wasn't true, would you still believe in evolution?
No.
So the
And if
magic
evolution
formula for evolution is millions of years.
No, the formula is natural selection and followed by mutations.
Natural selection is not evolution. Natural selection is a loss of information. Evolution. You all right?
Natural
So you
selection is
define evolution as a change in the population, right? You say evolution is a change in the population.
not change in allelic frequencies in populations.
All right,
Or
break that down to me.
you can define it as change in the genetic composition of the population.
So it's changing the gene pool, like a gene trait being passed down from one person to another, even if it's a mutation.
Yes, mutations are passed down.
That's natural selection then, because it's a loss of information.
No, natural selection would be, say you have you remember the beetle and the bird example, right?
I don't think I've heard of it. Explain it.
Well, you have beetles. You have the dark beetles, and you have the light beetles. The light beetles are, because the birds are, I don't know, they're easier to be seen. The birds eat them. So the dark beetles, since they can't be seen, they go on and pass on their traits. That's natural selection. Now, there's other examples of natural selection. There's sexual selection, in which the toughest or I would say the best adapted are who procreate, or who the females pick, or the males pick in some cases. That would be sexual selection.
I was listening, but then I wasn't listening. But it seems like to me you have natural selection and evolution confused. As a matter of fact, I have a. Let me show this to you. Right here. This is what I go around when I evangelize to college students. I show them this pamphlet right here. This says, "Can you tell the difference between evolution and natural selection?" And this is the biggest problems that college students. Are you in college or high school? Because I know I said high school, but I was just being a jerk. But,
Neither.
Neither?
Neither.
Yeah.
That's pretty much why I have so much time on my hands.
Yeah, tell me about it. So, I mean, natural selection is different variations within a kind or within a, I would say species. Is species even the right word? I'm going to say species. Screw it. It's a change in the variation, or it's a variation of change in a kind, but it's still the same kind. That word kind is so important. But at the same time, um, every evidence for evolution is evidence against evolution. You're telling me that a coyote turning into a dingo, turning into a poodle is evolution. That's not evolution. They're devolving. They're not evolving. They're losing information because they can't get their information back. A poodle is never going to be able to produce a coyote. It lost their information. It doesn't have it anymore because things are running down. Entropy.
Poodles didn't descend from coyotes. Poodles, like dogs, are descended from wolves. In fact, so most people, like Kent Hovind, for example, he mistake this, and I corrected him. I've corrected him on many things, which is why he doesn't like me. Poodles, since they're dogs, they're called Canis lupus familiaris. Now, Canis lupus, that's the species that wolves are in. There's plenty of Canis lupus familiaris, Canis lupus era.
Well, you do know that this is the the animal selection the cater I can't even say the word right, but the selection method that people use for animals today is a lot different than how it used to be. So this is just how people are defining it today, but at one time it was different. And just to keep it short and simple, we say this is a part of the dog family. This is a part of the dog family. So a coyote is not a part of the dog family. What family is
A
it a part
coyote
of?
it is a canid. It's a canid. It's
Is it a
going to be.
dog?
I mean, do you define dog? Are you talking about dog as a species or dog as every canidae?
I want to know how to answer that because I don't know what you mean by like every candidate.
Canidae would mean like dingoes, does, wolves, dogs.
It's
These are
in
almost
the
all
it's in the dog family. It's in the dog gene pool.
yeah,
It had
canidae. I guess.
yeah,
I mean, but coyotes are they're close to dogs. They can reproduce.
but
I mean, for example,
I'm not saying a coyote can give birth to a dog. I'm saying over a short period of time, maybe like give it like I don't know, a couple hundred years, a coyote could be able to produce a dog, not from evolution, but from losing information. But it wouldn't just be from coyote to dog. It'd be like a coyote to a dingo to whatever, and then a dog, and then a poodle.
I would say no. It's not going to be a. It wouldn't be devolution that causes that. It would be, for example, sexual isolation can cause speciation. So, for example,
Well, hmm
if you were to take a population of coyotes and then separate them for a few thousand years, a few hundred years, if you're lucky, they're not going to be able to reproduce because they're going to be distinct species through sexual isolation. They'll have drifted away from each other genetically and become distinct species. I mean, for
If
example,
the Inca stones are fake, then why are microorganisms in the grooves?
I told you they were baked in feces. You know what's in feces, right?
doo doo, ha ha ha, bacteria.
Really?
Yeah, they were baked in feces. So it's going to be microorganisms.
I don't know. According to the research, it's a debatable subject. I think you're just taking the position of evolutionary thinking.
No. I'm taking the position of what was admitted by the farmer who made up the ecostones. I mean, if you're going to put feces on something, you're kind of going to expect that bacteria be found on it.
That's not
I mean,
bacteria.
bacteria
It's
is in
called
every
microorganisms, according to this.
bacteria or a microorganism. It's kind of expected. Microorganisms are everywhere. In fact, you're technically more bacteria than you are human. There's more bacterial cells on you than there is human cells. This stuff's everywhere.
Well, bacteria, I agree. Bacteria is everywhere. At one time, bacteria wasn't here, but now it's here. And maybe bacteria was here. I don't have a way of saying bacteria never existed.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any evidence for that. Does anybody for either side have a position on that? Was bacteria always here? I don't know.
I mean, before there was, the Earth, I guess it could be a claim.
I have no idea. But I feel in order to have bad bacteria, you need good bacteria, right? Isn't there like good bacteria that fights off the bad bacteria? The good germs fight off the bad germs, something like that.
Yes, but sometimes those good bacteria go through horizontal gene transfer where they have genes from bad bacteria are given to the good bacteria, and it's a whole process. It's one of the
Well,
reasons bacteria becomes immune to antibiotics because you have genes from other bacteria giving it to that bacteria.
which is natural selection.
No, just horizontal gene transfer. They take genes. They can do that.
Well, yeah. According to this, if there's what was it? They're talking about the farmer right here. If it is true that he's making some stones and selling them, does that account for the stones found 500 years ago? Because chronologically, that is impossible.
What stones are
So
they talking?
the
500
the
years
Inca
old?
stones, they found stones 500 years ago from this guy. So I think your information is faulty.
No, show me the stones if they're 500 years old.
I guess their first set of Inca stones, they have different sets apparently.
going to show me the Higginstones, tell me what type of dinosaur it is. Tell me the position of the tail. Tell me what the hallux looks like. That's really good information. Tell me what position it looks like the pubis is in.
Let's go back up here. They said which ones they found 500 years ago.
Hey, what are you reading? I believe I'm creation.com. I think that's one of the arguments that creationists should not use. I think that's on their website. You go to creation.com, I think his answers, I don't know, are all the same to me. But you're not going to get me to talk to Kendall. He's not going to talk to me. He refuses. He's not.
I know. I think I told you I talked to Kent on the phone probably like a week ago, and I told him about you. I was like, yeah, this kid Isaiah Sloan, he wants to debate you or whatever, and he's like, no, I'm not debating him. He's the kid. And I was like, oh, okay.
He doesn't like me. I mean, I've corrected him on multiple subjects. Example, dogs, calling hyenas canines, that's incorrect. I've corrected him on a multitude of topics. I'm not going to be the most liked guy for it. I don't think there's anyone who's a harsher critic of Kent Hovind than I am.
I know. He's the most hated creationist in the world. But with that being said, so how did you become an atheist?
He said he's not an atheist, or maybe he
I am an
didn't.
atheist.
No, you are an atheist, right?
I mean, I suppose I went through a sort of religious crisis, if you call it that. Explored various religions. I mean, I almost became a Muslim. That
Stop. That's disgusting. Don't make me do that.
Oh, don't worry.
That had to be a joke. That had to be a joke.
No.
Did you guys hear about what's happening in France right now with the Islam extremists and stuff?
Oh, yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah, those people are freaking.
I'm not a Muslim is because I've read the Quran. I'm not. Yeah, no, that's not for me.
I hope not. Yeah, man, go into your school and like start going Allah Akbar and start killing people.
Yeah, no, I'm not. That's not something I want to do.
I was going to become a Seventh-day Adventist, and then I found out they believe that if you don't go to church on Saturdays, you're going to hell. And I thought that was so stupid.
Yeah, Seventh Day, the SAD will try to get you in their stuff.
Well, I didn't know what they believe.
I personally keep the Saturday as a rest day, but that is the true Sabbath day. But I wouldn't associate it like that.
Man, I don't even I'm done with keeping record of the Sabbath. Like, didn't Jesus say he is the Sabbath? Like, after he said that, like, he just gave me permission to just not care. Jesus said, I am the Sabbath, Mary, and I'm like a boss.
Yeah, really.
But I suppose the reason I am not an atheist is because I've always known that God existed. Isaiah, I was going to become an atheist at plenty of times in my life. However, I just was like, dag, I know God exists, and by me trying to trick myself into believing that God does not exist does not make it so. For the first time I had the thought of becoming an atheist was in second grade. I remember growing up in a Christian home. I was not a Christian. I grew up in a Christian home, but I myself was not a Christian. And we didn't celebrate Halloween, so I was in second grade, and I asked my second grade teacher, I said, hey, my family doesn't celebrate Halloween, that's a bad holiday, etc., etc. And my teacher said, oh, I don't believe in that stuff. And so when I grew up and when I got like a little bit older, like in 4th and 5th grade and stuff, I used to think about doing all this bad stuff, and I'd be like, you know what? I would try and justify the bad stuff I would do, like cuss, and try and beat up the other kids, because I'm like, oh, well, if there is no God, I can do whatever I want. But then I just kind of thought to myself, like, me telling myself there is no God does not make it so. And so that's my thing on it. I mean, you may really truly believe that there is no God, but still doesn't make you right. So.
It was around last year I had my crisis. I explored various religions. I Islam was first. I mean, glad that I'm not one. Glad I'm not a Muslim. Oh God. I explored Judaism because my grandmother's an atheist, but she's Jewish, but she's long story. Well,
Jewish
she
by
probably
blood,
can't.
atheist by. I can't. So she got grafted in. Ha ha ha! You heard me, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she probably can't remember she's an atheist anymore. Uh, but I explored Judaism, Islam, the major three, and neither of them really stuck with me. I explored deism for like a week, but there's nothing really to that.
So
I essentially was
what were
forcing
you
myself
looking
to
for?
believe stuff.
Were you looking for a failing? Were you looking to try and like get right with the universe? Were you
I,
looking for God?
I think that's what I was looking for, but eventually I came to the conclusion I was forcing myself to believe something I didn't.
Hmm. So then you just said, you know what? There is no God.
Well, no, I said I don't believe it. I mean, I'm not an anti-theist. I wouldn't.
Hmm.
I don't respect the anti-theist position. I'm adamant about that. I don't respect it.
Hmm. So you're like an agnostic.
An agnostic atheist, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, anybody who's a Gnostic atheist, they can't even be a Gnostic atheist. How do you know that there is no omniscient, all-knowing being unless you're omniscient and all-knowing?
Yeah, well, I don't. I don't. Well, I think I just call them anti-theist. I don't in particular respect that position. I don't give any thought to it. It's not a position that I can respect.
Hmm. Well, I take the position that everybody knows that God exists. They just don't like him. They just want to do what they want to do and sin. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know what you do in like your private life, but like when we get off the chat, you're going to do what you're going to do and go about your life. So when you do what you do, just think about what I said and the reason why people do what they do, particularly sin. That's why people have sex in the dark when they're not married. They fornicate in the dark. They watch porn in the dark. They shoot up drugs in the dark. People go out to rob and murder people in the dark because people hate the light. People hate God. That's it. And even by somebody saying they don't hate God does not mean that they don't hate God. That just means they said they don't hate God. It doesn't make it true.
I literally don't hate God. I don't really hate him. I mean, I suppose you would call Jesus God. I mean, I agree with Jesus' philosophy, but I'm not going to say he's holy. I mean, he had a nice philosophy. I also agree with the philosophy of Buddha, but I'm not going to consider Buddha holy. I just say you had a nice philosophy.
No, and yeah, and Buddha, you could even consider him immoral for leaving his wife and child and just leaving them to fend for themselves while he went and pursued to be a Buddha. So there's that there too.
I don't know what was wrong with him. Well, Buddha was a prince, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
He
his
wasn't
name was
particular.
Siddhartha Gautama, right?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't particularly happy about in the position he was, even though he had everything he could have possibly wanted. And
Except here.
it's essentially, yeah, he's essentially going out to seek peace. And he couldn't get that through all this nice stuff he had. I mean, and I agree with that. I mean, I don't have to have the nicest technology or the greatest stuff to become happy.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I agree. You know, there are a lot of people who don't have God, and they're happy, just for the sure reason that you don't need God to be happy. You do need God, however, if you want to go to heaven. You know, if you don't want to go to hell for your sins, you know, every time you lied, every time you stole, every time you did something bad. So you don't believe in sin, right?
No, I don't believe in the concept.
Do you believe in right and wrong?
Sure,
Where
I
do you get right and
suppose.
wrong from?
I would say that's something that is ingrained in all species and varies from species to species.
Hmm.
And I would say during extreme times that would call for something that would be considered extremely immoral. Only in extreme conditions, under extreme conditions. For example, you have the mother bear when she's under extreme conditions, when she's about to die of starvation, she'll eat her child. because this circumstances are that extreme.
Wait, you said a mother bear would eat her child? What? Oh my god.
Under extreme, yeah, they actually do that. Under extreme conditions, when it's like she's starving to death.
Well, I wouldn't compare myself to a bear or to an animal. I wouldn't get my morals from animals, but because
Well, no, I'm not saying. I just use that as an example to say
oh
it
yeah,
very.
that's not one of the best examples, but I can dig it, man. I can dig it. But with that being said, so all right, you said everybody has an ingrained sense of morality. So whose sense of morality is right? Because I could say your sense. Wait, sir.
Nothing.
Because I could say my ingrained sense of morality is a lot better or more evolved than yours, and you just don't believe in my ingrained morality because you're less evolved than me.
I mean, if your morality helps better our species survival and would better help us survive in, for example, extreme conditions, then I'm going to agree with your morals. I mean, it's ingrained, it's neurological, not something that can be changed.
But I can kind of see where you're going, but morality doesn't work that way. Morality isn't like, well, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, and if I agree with you, I'll help you out and stuff like that. Like we actually see, like even today in Paris, like you see morality being played out where Muslims want to go up and blow up all the other non-Muslims. So.
Well, I would say that's your brain on Islam, but but yeah, I would say Islam isn't the best source of morality. If you're getting your morality from some ancient goat fucking pedophile, I mean, you're going to do crazy shit. That's,
No argument there.
No argument there. However, I mean, this is the hardest. This is one of the reasons I'm not an atheist. If there is no omniscient, moral lawgiver who defines what's right and wrong, right? Because that omniscient lawgiver who's outside of all of us, who made all of us, they can tell us what's right, what's wrong, what's not right, what's not wrong, and they can set the standard. But if there is no omniscient lawgiver, then that means that we set the standard. And if that's the case, morality doesn't work that way because something can be right here in this country according to civil law, and something can be right in another country according to civil law, and so on and so forth. Like in some countries in the Middle East, it's legal for people to have sex with kids, but then it's illegal to have an abortion. But here, it's illegal to have sex with kids, and it's illegal to have an abortion. That doesn't make it's completely loony. Morality, even now, is just according to people, is completely civil, which doesn't make it right, but that's how people define morality. Which is to say, if the government in America said, hey, we need to kill all the Jews, which happened actually in 1935, World War II or something like that.
I think Hitler began his reign in 1933. That's when he became chancellor, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, if that's the case, then what Hitler did, according to the morality of his of Germany, he was completely right, and nobody can say he was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I disagree with the society gives morality argument, just because of examples such as the Holocaust. I
Well,
would say it.
so you're
Yeah,
saying morality comes from each one of us.
yeah. Morality should be based off what can we do to better the survival of our fellow man.
There's a problem with that, and that's what I said. That's
No,
what. Well,
yeah,
no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you on that point. But the biggest problem is society isn't like that. It should be like that, but it isn't like that. And the reason why it isn't like that is because people are selfish. Because people are sinners.
no, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's just because people are sinners. It's because people follow crazy ideologies. I mean, you have Islam. People who are following Islam are going to do a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, I think there was a poll that revealed like an absurd number of Muslims in the Middle East, like some 80% supported what was going on, like supported what was being done in the Middle East, what was being done by Islamic extremists. Well, that's only in the Middle East. I'm not saying all Muslims, just those in the Middle East disproportionately support what's going on, and because of crazy ideologies such as Islam. But I don't think Islam is going to embetter the survival. I mean, this may sound controversial coming from an atheist, but I would much rather be filled. I'd much rather be in a room with evangelicals than Muslims. But just
Oh, trust me, I feel the
Yeah.
same way. I feel the same way because I actually read the Quran. As a matter of fact, let me read you guys some loving Quran verses that I just happened to find after I found out on NBC that Muslims are bombing Paris. This is Surah chapter 2, verse 191 to 193. And kill them wherever you find them, and turn them out from where they have turned you out. Surah chapter 8, verse 12. I will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. Therefore, strike off their heads and strike off their fingertips of them. Islam, the religion of peace.
yeah. I mean, Islam. I mean, it's being used to. I mean, I brought up the fact that Muhammad was a pedophile to a Muslim, and hold on. Let me find the. Well, I don't have the screenshots anymore. But he was essentially trying to say, women were much more mature back then, but that doesn't change the fact that Aisha was 9.
Yeah. You'll hear that. They'll try. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
she's not going to be less of a 9-year-old because she's more mature.
How mature can a 9-year-old be? What the heck? Yes,
No.
because they had GMO McDonald's back then, yes.
I don't know, but it makes no sense. You can't justify that. She was 9. She's not going to be 9. Even if she looks 18, she's still going to be 9.
That's effed up. So what's your view on homosexuality?
It doesn't bother me. It's not going to. It's not like I'm going to die from it.
What about pansexuality?
Pansexuals. Well, I know a pansexual. He's pretty cool, but it doesn't bother me. Not like he's going to.
Well, no, I know, like, I'm not saying, like, does it bad, like, is it right or wrong in
no.
your eyes? Right or wrong?
I mean, I wish I could take some things that I said before back. I mean, you could probably go on video 6 years back or so and find me saying some stuff that's really homophobic, and I don't take that position anymore.
Oh, you can find some videos of me saying some stuff today. I don't apologize. It is a very it's a selfish lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that people go to because they're hurt. A lot of times because women hurt them and they want to hurt somebody else, and it's a lifestyle of death. Homosexuals cut their lifespan in half by 20 years. Meaning, if you have 2 people in the same room, one's a homosexual and one's straight, the straight person has a better advantage of living 20 years longer than the homosexual because the homosexual is more likely to get not just AIDS, but other infectious diseases that you get from anal sex. It's a very unclean, selfish lifestyle that selfish people get into because at the end of the day, it's all about lust. I like you because you look good. I want your butthole. Let me F you in the butt. And after that, that's it. Homosexuals have more than 100 sex partners a year. I know a homosexual. And when we were really good friends, I just be on the phone with him. And I'd be like, hey, bro, what you doing? And he say, oh, I just got done having sex. How lovely. How lovely. And they have over 100 more partners than straight people because it's not about love. It's about lust, and it's a very unclean version of sex. It's very nasty. They got I could share with you guys some really just outrageous stuff that the media won't show you because all we know about gay people is from Glee, and they can dress and they can do this and that. For example, if well, you guys know what they do. They know what they do, but
I really don't know.
Doo come out of there. Come on. I said, come on. You got to be with me on this. Doo comes out of there. Crap Why would you want that?
Oh, I mean, I like I like a woman's butt. I mean, I mean, if a chick is in yoga pants and she has a nice behind, I mean, I don't care what comes out of that.
I wouldn't want anybody's behind. That is disgusting, and I think that's just this is just what the media has done to us. Where we all just are like dogs. We want big butts and big breasts, and oh my gosh, like we want big thighs, big breasts, big hips. Just we're freaking weirdos. This is a dude. This is a sick society. You really want to play with somebody's butt? What is wrong with you? Like disgusting.
No, I have things that I'm into. I mean, big booty is one of them.
That's disgusting. But anyway, it's a very unclean lifestyle, man. It's a very unclean, promiscuous lifestyle that a lot of people who are hurt go to, and a lot of times also too, most homosexuals, I'm gonna say around like 89% of homosexuals, they don't have fathers in their lives. Maybe the reason why they're homosexual is because they're going or they're using another male as a outlet to be their father. You always see a younger homosexual with an older homosexual, and it's not just like a younger homosexual with an older homosexual. It's a younger homosexual with some dude that could be his dad. So,
Yeah, you see that often.
yes. Isaiah's like, oh, what the heck? But yes, it's true. It's true.
I know a lot of atheists. I mean, there's a few gay. We call. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. That's mean. I know a lot of atheists who happen to be gay, but I don't really see a problem with them. They're not bothering me.
Yeah, you can look at it that way. I look at it this way though. Like I can't even say me personally. This should just be the standard of the land. First, because you know homosexuality used to be defined as a mental disorder, and me personally, do I want to say that on there? Screw it, I said everything else. But hey, I think pansexuality, homosexuality, bestiality, pedophilia, I think it all is a mental disorder. And if somebody's watching that right now and they want to record that, hey, screw it, do it. Cause I said some stuff way worse than this. But you know me, Tim. I don't censor myself for anybody.
Yeah.
But my thing is, a lot of homosexuals they should have not psychological evaluations, but they should sit down with a therapist and they should talk about you know because most homosexuals who I know they were not always homosexuals, and I know them like they were not. Something happened where they transitioned into living that lifestyle, and a lot of the reasons why most of them turned to men is because, especially the ones who I know, because they got hurt by women. They got hurt by women, and that made them, you know, want to go to a man's butt.
I mean, those who I know, this is something they've felt since childhood. Well, Bruce Jenner's not gay, but well, Caitlyn Jenner. She's not gay, but you know, did you watch her interview?
Please stop calling him her. It is like that is a grown man.
Oh God.
They stopped calling him her. That was good. Good.
Well, Caitlyn,
Bruce,
it's something
Bruce,
she's felt.
Bruce.
Okay. For the sake of discussion, Bruce felt this since he, for the sake of discussion, was a child. It's not something that Chris didn't hurt him.
I agree. I agree. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this.
I'll be right back.
When I was a kid, right, I used to run around in my mom's hills, and until my mom told me, "Hey, that's wrong," I didn't do it anymore because it's wrong. And I'm pretty sure somebody sat down with Bruce and they're like, "Bro, you gotta stop putting on wigs, bro. You are not a woman. You don't have a vagina and titties. Like, you're a man, Bruce." And he suppressed the truth. That's what I mean when I say people suppress the truth. You know, Bruce Jenner still has a penis, and he got an award for being an outstanding woman. I have never met a woman with a penis, but if I did, I would start singing a song, "Dude Looks Like a Lady" by Steven Tyler.
Well, there are some, you know, you have hermaphrodites. They grow breast. They got the whole thing.
They got the whole shebang. Well, in Bruce's case, he needs help. He needs help. But in those cases, in the hermaphrodite cases, uh, when they get born like that, the parents usually decide whether they want the child to be a male or a female, and they get that part chopped off.
God, I mean, I wouldn't do that. It's not like I mean, I think you should let the child decide if they're like born a certain way. They
It
should
would be
decide
pretty
rather
weird to be in high school, right? And
than
you go to the boys or the girls' locker room, and you go to take a shower with the girl, and like you got both. Oh man, they might. Oh man, you would be, especially with like Instagram and stuff now. You would be embarrassed.
well, I mean, as humans, oddities are essentially outcast. It's just part of our nature. We outcast oddities. It's wrong, but it's just what we do. But I'm going to give up on Kent Hovind. I'm going to leave him alone.
Well, hey, I don't even know what to say. But the last time I did talk to Ken, I brought you up, and I said, hey, this guy Isaiah wants to debate you, and he's like, nah, I'm not debating him. He's a kid, so he kind of didn't take you seriously. So
Well, he's going to take me seriously. But, well, no, I'm just going to leave him alone. I'm done. I've had my fun.
that's all you can do, man, is just move on. So when you tried out Christianity, like how far, like, but you didn't say did you try out Christianity?
I was a Christian. I told you well, I didn't tell you, but I was a younger creationist at a point because of Kent Hovind.
I think so.
Well,
It
not
was
a young
because of
Earth creationist, but a Christian.
yeah, I was specifically because of Kent Hovind.
That actually, I mean, that's a good start to becoming a Christian, but you can be a younger creationist and not believe in Jesus, you know. And I don't know if you heard the gospel, but I know Ray Comfort has some really good stuff. And I know you say you were a Christian, but the problem is with a lot of people who say they were a Christian, they thought they were saved, but at the same time they didn't know what they were saved from. Like if I told you right now, like, or if I asked you right now, like, when did you become a Christian?
When
Would you be
did
able?
I become? I would have just said I was born into it because
That's
my
not.
maternal, well, my father's mother, my grandma, not the atheist one. That's my mother's mother. But she used to take me to church every so often because she was religious.
Well, that would actually be a wrong answer. Nobody is. Well, biblically, nobody is born a Christian. You can
Yeah.
be born. Yeah, nobody's born a Christian. So I guess that's one of the first places where you went wrong. But you become a Christian by understanding that you are a sinner. You have sinned. I have sinned. Tim have sinned. And as a result of us sinning, we're separated from God, meaning that we in no way, shape, or form, through all our efforts by becoming a Buddhist or going into the New Age or trying to find God in the mountains or something like that, we in no way, shape, or form can find God that way. God had to come to us, and He did 2,000 years ago in the form of a man, Jesus Christ, and He lived a perfect life on our behalf, and He sacrificed Himself for our sins. Every time we lied, every time we stole, every time we cheated, every time we gambled, every time we lusted, every time we jerked off, every time we fornicated, every time we smoked, every time we drank, every time we did anything that was evil and sinful and completely wicked. And one of the biggest things that we gotta understand is that until you see yourself as a sinner, then Christianity is going to be completely foolish to you. It's not going to make sense because that's the aha moment when you notice, holy crap, I'm not this good person that I thought I was. So I can guarantee, maybe you think, do you think you're a good person? You're a pretty okay person?
That's you'd be asking the wrong person. I have a bias.
Hmm. What do you mean?
I have a bias. I mean, I'm a person.
Mhm.
You could say I have pretty high self-esteem.
Have you ever lied?
Yeah.
Have you ever stolen? Have you ever lusted?
Every day.
Well, then you're a
Every day.
lying, you're a lying, thieving, adulterer at heart, just like the rest of us.
I know, I've been through the whole Ray Comfort script.
Well, no, it's not. It's not a script. That's the law. It's not a script. That's the law. And those are like one. Those are like three out of like the 600. But they're laws nonetheless. And you gotta understand, you've broken them by you denying them and suppressing them. It doesn't make it true that you're not. Why can't you just? But the thing I can't understand about a lot of atheists is why can't you just man up and just say I'm not a good person. I'm evil, just like everybody else.
Well, I mean, I don't take the humanist position. I think man is one of the most capable of doing the worst things. But I mean, he's also capable of doing the best. I would say man's capable of doing some of the worst things. I consider myself a humanist.
So from the previous things that you've done, like lying and cheating and stealing and doing stuff, what are you capable of?
I'm capable of much more than I've done.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It just depends on the conditions. I mean, if I'm in a bad situation, an extremely bad situations, I'm going to do something's probably going. I'm probably going to do something that I wouldn't normally do. It would just be, as I said, extreme conditions call for extreme immorality. It's just human nature.
Well, I can definitely tell you this. When you become a real Christian, you don't just become a young earth creationist. That's a start. That's a great start. But becoming a Christian, you have a literal heart transplant. The things that you wanted to do, you don't want to do anymore. The things that you used to like, you don't like anymore. You got new desires. It's like you're brand new. And you understand that you're a bad person, but God is such a good Savior. That's it. That's just the whole crux of it. And I think by you starting off with Kent Hovind, I think that did a lot more damage to you than it should. I know a lot of people love Kent Hovind seminars and stuff like that, and they like to give them away to people and stuff like that. But I honestly think with you, I just I actually didn't find out about Ray Comfort, Kent Hovind, Kirk Cameron, G. Craig Lewis, and all these other different pastors. I found out about them after a good like 3 or 4 years after I was already a Christian. I became a Christian 2009 October 30th at 10 o'clock at night at Church of God in Christ, Mount Airy Church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I still remember the exact moment I understood, like, wow, I'm a bad person. Like, I don't think like you understand like the gravity. Like, you're as bad as a Satanist. I'm as bad as a Satanist. Tim is as bad as a Satanist. Like, I know we were talking about Muhammad and how Muhammad was a ghost screwer and stuff like that, but we're just as bad as he is. And that's the thing that makes Christianity not only just different, but that's the only thing. That's one of the reasons why Christianity is true. So I just want to leave some food for thought. You got a Bible at home, bro?
Not anymore. Well,
Not
but yeah,
anymore?
I do.
Have you ever
Little
have you
orange
ever
book in my drawer.
have you ever read it?
No.
Hmm.
I got it a few years back. I still remember the day. Not the day exactly, but some dude in a blue suit was at my high school. He was passing out these little orange Bibles. I don't know what he was, but passing out these orange books, and I just took one. Never cracked it open.
You know what's funny? Your story sounds a whole lot like mine. I did not open up the Bible until I was 16 years old. I think I was in 10th grade, and I was a Christian, but I'd never read the Bible. And my aunt gave me this Bible, this old ratty Bible that I got as a gift from my aunt. And she gave it to me a couple years before I actually became a Christian. And then when I became a Christian, like maybe like a year after that, during that summer, I was like, let me open up this Bible that my aunt gave me because I never read it, and I wanted to read Genesis because I had a children's edition of the Bible that I read as a kid, but I never read the actual Bible. And so I looked for that Bible for a long time, man. I looked for that Bible day and night, and then I finally found it. And I read through Genesis, and then as I started to get into it, like the Abraham and Isaac crap, I didn't understand it, and so I skipped those parts, and I went to the New Testament, and I went to the Book of John, and right there in my room on the floor next to my bed, nobody told me about the gospel. Nobody told me about like how to actually like get saved. Like I was saved, but I didn't know what happened. I didn't really understand the gravity of what I got myself into. And right there on my floor, in my room, during that summer of I think 2010, that's when I finally understood the gospel, and that's it. So I don't know if the same thing will happen to you. I have no idea. That's completely like up to fate. So if you can find it, pick it up, read it. It was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I just found it. It's a Gideon Memorial Bible. I think
Uh, I
that's what
think
it's.
I think my Bible was a New King James Version Bible.
Oh.
Yeah, but still, a Bible is a Bible nonetheless, I guess. But I'm about to go. I'm about to get something to eat. It was good talking to you guys. And Isaiah, if you ever want to talk, whatever, you got my Google Hangout, man. But just open it up, read it. It's one of the most important books in the world to me. So hopefully it'll do the same for you. So God bless, man.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get off too.